compelled to respond, Amen. I don't know about our houses being straightened up, but I know that because I knew I was going to read this story, when I sat down for dinner by myself, because my partner's away, the table was cluttered with computers and bills and, you name it, musical instruments. Anyway, I was going to sit down and eat my Shabbat meal tonight, but then I realized I better prepare my table so the prosecuting angel wouldn't say, may it be so next week, so I cleared the table. This Shalom Aleichem is in 3, and it's an original of mine. The melody. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Shalom. Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So as we join again with the Israelites, I invite you to imagine the many different ways they feel as they anticipate the next leg of their journey. As you listen to this poem, Vacation by Rita Dove, think about what you like best about the moment before departure and the ways in which travel can bring a community together. I love the hour before takeoff. That stretch of no time, no home, but the gray vinyl seats linked like unfolding paper dolls. Soon we shall be summoned to the gate. Soon enough, there will be the clumsy procedure of row numbers and perforated stubs or scanned cell phones of various kinds. But for now, I can look at these ragtag nuclear families with their cooing and bickering, or the healed bachelorette trying to ignore a baby's wail and the baby's exhausted mother waiting to be called up early, while the athlete, one monstrous hand asleep on his duffel bag, listens, perched like a seal trained for the plunge. Even the lone executive who has wandered this far into the summer with his lasered itinerary, briefcase knocking his knees, even he has worked for the pleasure of bearing no more than a scrap of himself into this hall. He'll dine out, she'll sleep late, they'll let the sun burn them, happy all morning. A little hope, a little whimsy, before the loudspeaker blurts and we leap up to become Flight 828, now boarding at gate 17. It's been a big regret of mine that I did not ever hear the band that wrote this song, but we're going to our Georgia roots here.
years. I'm thirsty and my eyes don't have too dry for tears. I'm told I'm going home, no more fool to roam. Carry on despite my pain and fear.
Oh, I was born a rambling human, trying to make a living and do the best I can. When it's time for leaving, I hope you understand. I was born a rambling human. Please feel free to turn to page 41. You'll understand the words and the melody.
Just 1 second. Let's see if I can find it. that Sabbath bride a real southern welcome. And I apologize in advance for all of you that are going to be having this melody all weekend running through your mind.
So please turn now to page 48 for Tov L'Chodot. And if you are on Zoom, we invite you to share something that you are feeling grateful for from this week, from this moment, from your life. And for those of you who are here with us, right here in this room, I will feel free to kind of move around the room if anybody wants to, actually, if you want to come up. People on Zoom can't hear if you're only speaking out there, so I'll repeat what you have to say so that they can hear too. So if anybody wants to share something that they're grateful for. Homegrown tomatoes. Glad to be here with her daughter and her family.
This is Adina's mom, by the way.
Yes, my mother, Mindy Langer, all the way from New Jersey. Woo! Beautiful sunset a couple nights ago.
Grateful for this old something-year-old.
Birthdays. Something-year-old.
The rain.
The rain. Absolutely. Helping to lead services, leading services. A break from work and a chance to catch up. Yay, someone just moved here and everyone is really nice.
That's good.
Welcome. We're so happy to have you. Anyone else? All right. Oh, Rina. Good air conditioning. Yeah, we really benefit from that. Tov L'Chodot l'Adonai, u'zamer l'shimcha elyon, lehat haboker astecha, be'emunatecha ba'leilot.
Tov
L'Hodot l'Adonai, u'zamer l'shimcha elyon. Git b'boker astecha, ve'emunatecha ba'leilot. Please turn to page 55 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yikada v'yikada shmei Rabba, be'amad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, mechayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei kol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'leru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam yomei hamayam. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramon v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu min kol birchata v'shirata, dush bechata v'nechemata, da'amihiram bi'alma, v'meru, amen.
Please rise for the Barhu, which you'll find on page 57.
Baruch et Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach leolam va'ed, Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach leolam va'ed. Yada da 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 da, 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 yada da 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 da,
One more time. Please be seated.
We turn now to Asher B'Dvaro on page 58.
Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of all worlds, by whose word the evenings fall. In wisdom you open heaven's gates. With divine discernment you make seasons change, causing times to come and go, and ordering the stars on their appointed paths through heaven's dome, all according to your will. Creator of the day and of the night, who rolls back light before the dark and dark before the light, who makes day pass away and brings on night, dividing day and night. The leader of the throngs of heaven is your name. Living and enduring God, rule over us now and always. Blessed are you, Almighty One, who makes the evenings fall.
Umavir yom umevir laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo. Al hevekayim tamid, yimloch aleinu leolam ba'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, umariv aravim.
Amen.
We come now to Ahavat Olam, the Ahavat Olam prayer, which you can find the prayer on page 61. A moment in our service when we reflect on the love that God provides in good times and in bad, as we face that elemental danger of the coming night. We seek God's blessings and protection and find solace in the promise of tomorrow's rising sun. As an alternative to the traditional Ahavat Olam prayer, we offer the song Al Kol Eleh by Hebrew poet, Israeli poet Naomi Shemer. Shemer wrote the song in 1980, reflecting on the needs of the modern Israeli community. We will sing the song in Hebrew, but first I offer you this English translation of the chorus and the first verse. Every bee that brings the honey needs a sting to be complete, and we all must learn to taste the bitter with the sweet. Keep, O Lord, the fire burning through the night and through the day for the man who is returning from so far away. For the sake of all these things, Lord, let your mercy be complete. Bless the sting and bless the honey. Bless the bitter and the sweet. And I'm going to invite my mother, Mindy Langer, to come up and join us. And for those of you who haven't picked it up, there is a printout of the Hebrew that we're going to be singing. So please feel free to sing along if you know it, or join us once you feel like you know it a little bit better. Al hadvash ve'ha'oketz, v'hamar ve'hamatok, al biteinu hatinoket shmorna li hatov, al ha'esh ha'mevoeret, al ha'mayim hazakim, al ha'ish v'shav ha'baita min ha'mer. משאלות ליבי בחושך נרשמות עכשיו, אנא שמור לי על כל אלה ואהבו בנפשי, על השקט אל הבכי והזה השיר על כל Now, I'd like to welcome Susan Birch back up to the bima to lead us in the Shema on page 65.
Shema.
Shema. Yisrael. Adonai. Avtah et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'el asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevecha Vishinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'beitecha, uvlechtecha v'aderech, v'shochbecha v'kumecha, shartam leod al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, ukavtaham al mezuzot betecha uvisharecha. So we turn now to Micha Mocha on page 77.
Who is like you, God, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, worker of wonders? When we sing these words each day, we're called to remember the miracle of redemption from slavery, the exodus from Egypt, the crossing of the sea. Singing Micha Mocha is an opportunity to remember liberation, to experience it again, to live it, to feel it inside our bodies, to cultivate our sense of awe and trust, and from those emotions to joyously sing. Micha Mocha Be'eni Madonai, Micha Mocha Hilo, Osef Elecho, Osef Adonai Hilo, Leolam Vahed, Adonai Hilo, Leolam Vahed, Adonai Hilo, Leolam Vahed, Leolam Hashkivenu on page 80 is a prayer that asks that we be able to lie down in peace at night and awaken safe and refreshed the next morning. In her poem, Drifting, Mary Oliver reflects on the joy and peace that comes from noticing divinity in the world around us. The peace comes from our perceptiveness, a cultivated awareness as we move through the world. I'll read Drifting now by Mary Oliver from her book of poems, Devotions. I was enjoying everything, the rain, the path, wherever it was taking me, the earth roots beginning to stir. I didn't intend to start thinking about God. It just happened. How God or the gods are invisible, quite understandable. But holiness is visible entirely. It's wonderful to walk along like that, though not the usual intention to reach an answer, but merely drifting. Like clouds that only seem weightless, but of course are not, are really important. I mean, terribly important. Not decoration by any means. By next week, the violets will be blooming. Anyway, this was my delicious walk in the rain. What was it actually about? Think about what it is that music is trying to say.
It was something like that.
We rise for the Amidah. As Jews, we pray collectively. We lift our voices together as we create a community of holiness. But the Amidah is a time for our own personal prayer, a time to go inward. During this Amidah tonight, feel free to pray your own way, or pray the traditional Amidah on page 91, or just look in the Siddur for a passage that might speak to you, or stand and breathe to be present. And please help me lead this, the beginning of the Amidah on page 91. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. So, throughout our service, we have incorporated poetry as a way to connect with the numerous, sometimes conflicting emotions felt by the Israelites and their leaders as they set off on this penultimate leg of their journey toward the Promised Land. 38 years have passed since the rebellion of Korach. In this 40th year of wandering, most of the elders of the community have passed, and new traditions are being forged. Methods of ritual purification are codified, and Miriam, the great song leader of the Jewish people, dies in the wilderness of Zin. The people complain of hunger and thirst, and frankly, ennui. And Moses and Aaron respond with an anger interpreted by God as a loss of faith and respect. When God tells them to speak to the rock, they strike the rock instead. They are declared unfit to enter the Promised Land. The Torah's narrative in Chukat is matter of fact, but many of the people must have felt the momentousness of the events described in its lines. For others, perhaps they were banal, with only the anticipation and trepidation of the journey's end looming large in their minds. Today, in lieu of a traditional devar, we are going to invite you to do something a little bit different. We're going to invite you to bring your creativity to the interpretation of key moments in this parsha. Together, we will craft poems based on lines from the text, which I will read to you. We will assign you a line and invite you to craft a response in your mind or to write it down depending upon your personal practice and what works best for you. For those of you on Zoom, we will invite you to write your line of response in the chat. And after a few minutes of creative silence, this is not going to be a discussion, it's going to be kind of you thinking in your own mind, we will invite you to line up by the microphone right over there to share your lines in order, in any order that it ends up being, essentially creating poetry from our community response. So this, and I've never done this before, so thank you for experimenting with me, but and thank you, Ruben, for going with this as an idea.
We have 20 folks sitting here and an untold multitude on Zoom.
Yeah. So I'm going to read you the lines that we're going to be basing our poems on. And so we're doing 4. And you should be able to pick up a copy of this as well if you haven't done so already from the table with the hand sanitizer and everything like that on it. So the first, the Israelites arrived in a body at the wilderness of Zin on the first new moon, and the people stayed at Kadesh. Miriam died there and was buried there. Why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink. And Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod. Out came copious water, and the community and their beasts drank. But Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust me enough to affirm my sanctity in the sight of the Israelite people, therefore you shall not lead this congregation into that land that I have given to them." So the folks on Zoom are going to respond to the complaining Israelites line. So why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place? So I know Abby is going to be putting that into Zoom chat. Thank you, Abby. And looking at the numbers here, I'm thinking that this group, everybody over here, you are going to respond to that first line, the Israelites arrived in a body at the wilderness of Zin on the first new moon and the death of Miriam. So if you have the paper, read that line and just think in your mind of the next line. What do you want? What would your next line of poetry? And then dividing this group up, I'm thinking maybe, how would you do this, Ruben? What do you think?
How about the folks in the first 2 rows, except for, except for Steve and Margie? Can you be in the group at the back?
Okay, cool. So the first 2 rows, except for Steve and Margie, you're going to be responding to the line, and Moses raised his hand and struck the rock. And then the folks in the back will be responding to, because you did not trust me enough to affirm my sanctity.
And just to be clear, the folks on Zoom are going to respond to their prompt in the chat with any poetry line that strikes you from that prompt. And Abby should have put the prompt in the chat.
I did.
And then the folks here in the room will respond with their own line in their own heads, so we're not going to write them down.
Unless you feel like you need to, but yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And then we'll recite our poems.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you maybe 5 minutes to think silently about what line of poetry, think magnetic poetry. It doesn't have to be, anything earth-shattering. And just kind of hold it in your mind and then we'll go through this. So I'll let you know when those 5 minutes are up.
Meter and rhyme optional.
So if you would, and this is optional, you don't have to share your line, but if you want to come up and join the poem, you can kind of line up by that microphone up there so that the folks on Zoom will be able to hear you. So anybody from this first group want to share their line?
It'd be good if everyone from the group would come up at the same time.
Yeah,
So we
exactly.
can make it into a nice continuity. Don't be shy.
All right, thank you.
And the poem will be written in the order that you decide by chance, whoever comes first.
No pencil. We left Egypt to be free, to make our place, to win Nobel Prizes, and earn our place. We will grow our food and have a glass of wine, l'chaim.
Unmarked, possibly unmourned, Miriam passes away, savior of Moses, invisible supporter of her people.
Years later, they tried to remember her last words. They thought she remembered her days by the river in the place that they'd left. And they wept.
Oh no, why are we here? Will we die here too?
And the Israelites mourned Miriam's death and sang her songs to connect with her spirit.
Yasher koach. Thank you, everyone. So, Abby, do you want to go ahead? I'll read the line again that the folks on Zoom had, and if you want to read their responses. Okay, so why did you make us leave Egypt to bring us to this wretched place, a place with no grain or figs or vines or pomegranates? There is not even water to drink.
We have obeyed you and followed you at your command. How can you abandon us now? We are wanting, we lack. Before there was more. Why have you brought us to this unfamiliar shore? Parched and weary, I yearn for Israel, nothing greater to quench one's thirst. Can there be hope in a desert so dry? I split my lips, parched and dry, in a cry that echoes and dies. I yearn for cool water and sweet figs. I would cry, but my mouth and soul are parched. When will we learn to trust in God's wisdom? We long for those good old days when we were captive as Egyptian slaves. And that's all from Zoom.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much. So the group,
Yeah. I'm not sure which group had which prompt.
So I think the first 2 rows has this one.
Okay. I'll do the group in front here. The prompt was, and Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with the rod. Out came copious water, and the community and their beasts drank.
And the people all called out, "This is so much better than our last leader."
It's so sad that Miriam's not with us, and we have to remember her and everybody that aren't with us. Thank you.
They say walk softly and carry a big stick. Use the big stick softly.
Amen.
Though there may be consequences, there is also something holy about our instincts to strike when we are hurt.
And Moses' life was changed forever.
So our last line of Torah is, "But Adonai said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not trust me enough to affirm my sanctity in the sight of the Israelite people, therefore you shall not lead this congregation into the land that I have given them." So if the last group of folks want to come and share their lines of poetry.
Moses and Aaron said to Adonai, "We didn't come to get somewhere special. We came to accompany you on the journey."
But because you led my people for 40 years, you may watch from the heights and see them go safely into the land of milk and honey.
We have forgotten that we come from the soil. It is a great blessing to have a land where we are free to engage in righteous toil.
Above all, lead with faith.
Yashikoach, everybody. Thank you for creating that with me and with Ruben and with all of us.
It's wonderful. Next time we're going to give everyone a black beret and some cappuccino.
Snaps.
A wonderful, wonderful midrash we came up with, and the people on Zoom. Thank you. And thanks especially to Adina for coming up with this wonderful poetry idea here.
So we're going to offer our Misha Berach prayer, our prayer for healing. And we will invite you, if you're on Zoom, to share the names of those who need healing, that you want the community's prayers to speak to. And we'll go around the room similarly to how we went with the gratitude. If you have someone whose name you want to add to our list, and then we'll read the names together from our community list.
Lois worked bad, people in Ukraine, and I love her.
Everett Fromm.
Carol Glenn Fitch. Greg.
Roseanne Wood,
Mary Watson, Margie Osher.
Gary Rosenthal,
Richard Adler, Roseanne Glick, Hillary Bauer, Ronnie Carlin, Nan Harris, Rhonda Eason, members of our community and their families, people of Ukraine, and victims of gun violence.
And to all of those, we add our community list, Anne Sheila Taylor, Marta Inez Castillejo, Tanya Eden, Lang Marsh, Sharon Miller.
Jerry Falcon, Bob Schwartz, Hillary Bauer, Roseanne Glick, Ronnie Carlin.
Loretta Noon, Bob Noon, Esther Mayers, Aya Iwatani Wainroth.
Tracy Stern Cox, Richard Adler, Richard Cohen, Jenny Williams Cohen, Lois Birch.
Beth Ann Bidekant, Sharon Miller, Rosalie Levy, Pepe Laurie, Naya Brown.
Mona Lisa Schultz, Linda Staples, Amy Kraft, Naomi Stauber.
Carla Caraballo, Sarah Griscom, Margie Asheroff, Talia Bat-Yehudit.
Jesse Drop,
Shemo Ushemo Echad.
You turn to page 130 for the Mourner's Kaddish. It's our minhag here that if you are in mourning or observing the art site, that you stand, others be seated, and will rise in solidarity. Feel free to say their names out loud, please.
Arlene Sukla, because of Ukraine and gun violence.
That's the Gilbert.
May their memory be a blessing.
Gadal v'kadash meraba, v'alma divrach hiruteh v'amlich malchuteh, v'yechon u'yomechon u'chaye tichol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam omer almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach ba'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal shmei dekudasha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba mishamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom mimramav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen.
Please be seated.
So we invite Yolanda Asher to come up and share our prayer for the end of hiding. For those of you who need it, it's the purple sheet.
This is an important prayer in the history of our synagogue, for had it not been needed, CBH would probably not have come into existence. While most of our liturgy reflects the diversity and inclusivity of our community, this prayer connects us as nothing else can to the richness of our past and reminds us that in today's climate, we have not yet reached Eden. It is hard to know what to change and what to retain, but we do the best we can in balancing the needs of the present and the future with the integrity of the past. And it is a courageous thing to put ego aside and pray for the end of another's oppression. So, to the degree that we each feel comfortable, let us join our voices together in reciting the prayer for the end of hiding. As LGBTQ Jews, we are aware of the loss of integrity we suffer due to the pressures of the larger society. We often feel forced into a dishonest presentation of ourselves to ourselves and others. The LGBTQ individuals who feel they must pretend to be something that they are not. The Jews who feel they must be alienated from their tradition and community to win larger acceptance. Both are victims of a theft of identity and integrity committed by the sexual, gender-identifying, or religious majority. Creator of the universe, we ask that our hiding draw to an end, that we no longer feel we have to pretend, to promise falsely, to renounce ourselves, and that our fullest creative expression as Jews and as lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, and queer people be among the blessings you bestow upon us. Amen.
We are going to close with a chant, a shalom chant. And may I suggest that we'll chant a little bit right here and just feel the peace and bring that peacefulness inside of you. And then let's walk outside to our oneg together. Oh, we've got announcements. We'll do that first. When we do start chanting, we'll walk outside. Thank you, Susan. Chanting shalom before our bruchas. But first,
Announcements. Thank you, Susan. Come on up.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I'm not Marcy, but she's on vacation. So I got stuck with the job, and I can't compete with her, but I'll do my best to make it fun. Please, we are delighted to welcome Havareen from Atlanta and around the country in our online services. Please join us for these exciting and upcoming events. Thanks. Mark your calendars for bowling with the CBH Fun Committee on Sunday, July 24th at 2 p.m. You don't have to be great at it, okay? Just come and have fun. And it's the Comet Lanes in Decatur. We will be holding a CPR and AED training for CBH members on July 24th and August 7th. Check the CBH calendar for details. Upcoming Shabbat offerings include: join us next Friday, July 15th at 7:30 for our Blessings of the Climate service with guest speaker, meteorologist Mark Papier, presented by the CBH Green Team. And there will be a Zoom Shabbat morning minion at 10 a.m. on Friday, July 16th, led by our one and only Susan Levy.
That's Saturday, though.
Yeah, Saturday. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just reading what's in here. But thank you. And don't forget our regular offerings. Start your day with mindful moments. Weekdays at 8:45 on Zoom. Thank you. End your day with our 15-minute minion, Saturdays through Thursdays at 8 p.m. on
Zoom.
Thank you. Join our lunchtime Torah study every Tuesday at noon on
Zoom.
CBH Chant Leaders Guide for our virtual chant and sessions for the. Now I want to make sure I'm reading this right because it's usually wrong in there. But it says that the first and third.
Yes. First and
Monday,
third.
First and third Monday at 6:30 on
Zoom.
And since I provided the ODA, thank myself. So I hope y'all like what I bought. I didn't make any of it because I didn't want to poison y'all.
Well, what's your intention there, Susan? I didn't... Oh, okay.
Well, I used to have a friend, and she used to say that I would poison people, and they were buried in my backyard. So that's what she used to say. It was true, but
Poison says it'll be on Zoom.
be sure to check your bet mail on CBH website for the latest on all upcoming programs. Please remember to reserve your spot for any of your in-person event on our website. While online, please sign the CBH
Bridge for Ute.
I can't say it.
The Bridge Briute. Right?
So, thank you, Owen. Please commit to our health and safety protocols if you have not already done so. Interesting in leading a hand to CBH, we are currently looking for for our ONEG sponsors. Please contact our one and only Abby for our engagement at cbh@atlanta.org if you'd like to sponsor an ONEG. And thank you for our service leaders, Ruben and Adina.
Marcy Schmarcy.
Susan all the way.
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, your co-op. Let's take some of our Sabbath peace and breathe that in together with a prayer for a peaceful weekend, spreading through you, within you, and without you over Atlanta and Georgia, the United States, and the world. It starts inside. Let's breathe together for a moment. Shalom.